I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, just like that river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will.
Can you imagine somebody like me from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, who grew up on welfare, end up being on Richmond City Council? I am so grateful that the people in Richmond had faith in me.
Dr. King sacrificed his life in pursuit of equality. He said that one of the greatest inequalities is the injustice in healthcare.
Dr. King reminded us we have a responsibility.
So as long as I have breath in my body, I'm going to pass on this legacy.
There should be a MLK in each one of us as we strive to build for better communities and tackling social justice.
And I think that when he said, "We shall overcome," it says someday. I think he was just the tip of the iceberg.
I have to believe that his dream will become a reality.
And oh, there are times when I thought I wouldn't last so long. But now I think that I can carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will.
Welcome to the 44th Annual Martin Luther King Jr. Community Leaders Awards, sponsored by Virginia Union University and Dominion Energy.
Over the next hour, we're going to highlight Dr. King's impact here as we recognize individuals and organizations that embody Dr. King's legacy, selflessly and collectively championing for racial, economic, and social equality.
This year's Beloved Community and the MLK Legacy Awardees are being honored for their efforts in keeping Dr. King's vision for the beloved community alive. Stay with us as we share more about these phenomenal men and women working in the areas of health equity, social justice, faith, art and culture, education, and economic justice.
This year, Juneteenth was designated at both the federal and state levels as a holiday. But long before this occasion, this next awardee was recognizing Juneteenth and enriching the Richmond area with cultural events for decades. The Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Beloved Community Award for Art and Culture is presented to Miss Janine Bell of the Elegba Folklore Society, Incorporated.
The cessation of breathing in your life is but the belated announcement of an earlier death of the spirit. You died when you refused to stand up for right. You died when you refused to stand up for truth. You died when you refused to stand up for justice.
Dr. King wanted the godness that lives inside all people, but in his estimation, in Black people, to be seen and revealed. That we have power, that we have light, insights, and soul and spirit that influences every aspect of what the world is. And so the Elegba Folklore Society, through artistic engagement, wants people to be able to experience and recognize and realize some of those same attributes, some of those same energies, some of those same potentialities, some of those same truths. We want to reinstill cultural foundations in the African American community and also build bridges of understanding to the broader community. Our place in getting Juneteenth recognized is inviting people to consider that this is something that we can celebrate when the last of enslaved Africans were finally free. To think about the shoulders upon which we stand, and that what we do right now makes history and creates our future. And to be able to do those things consistently, I hope, helped the recognition of Juneteenth as an important time of reflection. Like with Dr. King, I hope that in some way my work has made some difference, some change, that people can feel good about themselves, feel their own promise manifesting, that people can learn about who we really are. If these things are happening, then the sacrifice is worth it.
For the past couple of presidential election cycles, voting rights have taken center stage. For our next awardees, protecting the voting rights of marginalized communities has been a longtime mission. The Beloved Community Award in Social Justice is being presented to longtime friends Clovia Lawrence and Sandra Antoine for Operation Stamp the Vote.
As a response to voter participation uncertainty fueled by the coronavirus pandemic and national threats of newly emerging voter suppression tactics, a group of nonprofits with a shared mission of political outreach and engagement came together in early 2020 to form Operation Stamp the Vote.
Each of you assembled here today decided that you were going to see that 10 other people are registered before the last day, which I think is next weekend, the 14th, I believe. Just see what a power you can be. Then after getting people registered, that is another even greater responsibility, and that is to go out to vote.
We met each other because when you're working in this space of grassroots and outreach, it becomes a cliche. You know, I do grassroots, I do outreach. But the effect and how deep you go when you do the outreach. Do you do the outreach when no one is looking? Do you do the outreach whether it's a dollar sign attached to it or not? And so when I met Sandra over 10 years ago, it was for another event and all of the community works that we do. And then we just started talking about voting and some things that we saw. You know, there are a lot of great organizations doing wonderful things out in the community, but we wanted to add to the spice of what was going on to make the process easier for the voter.
I think just in believing and being a soldier and inducted in the military during the Vietnam era, real soldier, just understanding how relevant it was. Even back during those times, as many of us took oaths to defend this country, as we were fighting for rights of people that looked like us, but yet we were willing to give our life And so it's been a fire. And this storm over here came rolling. That's it. And just interacted and just realizing the power of unity. Operation Stamp the Vote was a concept, it was an idea. As we were doing what we do, registering voters and restorative justice, this was during the pandemic, the early start of it. You know, I would always reach out to the seniors, you know, you're gonna be early voting. Let's check your voter registration application, make sure that you're registered where you live, and just making sure that you were prepared to vote. And all of a sudden this idea came up because they were talking about, okay, now not only do we do the application, but we have to send, which we can take the voter registration application, but we can't touch the ballot. So that meant having stamps. So I'm sitting there one night and was like, okay, I'm gonna give her a stamp, I'm gonna give him a stamp. Stamps are adding up. I was like, no, we need help. And it's always my go-to first phone call. Hey, we have to do something. And all of a sudden, Operation Stamp the Vote became the idea.
My work relating to the King legacy. So when I look at that legacy and understanding how he felt in his private hour and communicating with Dr. Wyatt T. Walker, I was like, tell me about Dr. King. And he had all of those insecurities as well, that he wasn't doing a great job. And I feel that way, you know, even when we stand here and we do the work that we do and people tell us that we're impactful, but way down deep inside, you feel like, am I really impactful? And that's what his legacy means to me. And so as long as I have breath in my body, I'm going to pass on this legacy.
Our call to action.
Our call to action.
There should be a MLK in each one of us as we strive to build for better communities.
Behind me is a statue created by Kehinde Wiley, who also did the portraits of Michelle Obama, our former First Lady, and President Obama as well. And it's a play off of the old Jeb Stuart statue that used to stand right here in the city of Richmond, and a different take featuring an African-American man on top of a horse. And this was his take on the landscape that used to litter Richmond. Dr. King talked about the creation of a beloved community. And the symbols of Confederate monuments don't represent the beloved community at all. He wanted us to devote our time to essentially destroy the triple evils of poverty, racism, and militarism. And unfortunately, those monuments that stood on Monument Avenue and throughout the city of Richmond represent all three of those evils. Now we're charged with unwinding that work. And it is obviously slow progress, but the removal represents progress. Progress that I think is aligned with what Dr. King wanted for communities like ours.
Dr. King once said that the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. That is the ideology shared by our honoree for the Beloved Community Award in Education, presented to An Achievable Dream Incorporated.
Now, the breath of life is the outward concern for the welfare of others, as I said. Man has not begun to live until he can rise above the narrow confines of his own individual concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity.
The mission of An Achievable Dream is to bring equity to education. An Achievable Dream is a nonprofit organization in partnership with school divisions. We are currently in Newport News, Virginia Beach, and Henrico County. For us, bringing equity to education is really about identifying the best approach to education for our students, for our dreamers, and making sure that they are receiving it in the way that works for them. Our students are with us traditionally kindergarten through 12th grade. We have a 100% on-time graduation rate from high school. 95% of our students go on to college, and we have almost 1,000 alumni. You know, the impact of An Achievable Dream, I wish you could just meet some of our young people, our alumni. I think that to hear our students speak about the program is probably the best definition of impact. Walter Siegeloff, the founder of An Achievable Dream, was told many times that this wasn't possible, that it wouldn't work. Well, we're getting ready to celebrate our 30th anniversary, and it does work. to watch them grow and live lives of fulfillment and to have the careers that they want and to be starting their own families. There were times that they didn't see that for themselves. You know, they did not see college as a true option, or they didn't imagine owning their own home or working for a Fortune 500 company or being a doctor. And all of those dreams have come true. I think Dr. King inspired us through a vision of hope. Those things that are really worth accomplishing typically aren't easy, but you can't give up.
With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day.
We took on the commemoration of the sesquicentennial of the Emancipation Proclamation. And in deciding how to commemorate that, we wanted to show that emancipation wasn't a moment, it was a movement. The statue was built by the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Commission. The woman evokes the Statue of Liberty and the feeling of liberty finally coming to the enslaved community. We also wanted to represent a family and hope in the baby, but show the pain and trauma of being enslaved with the man and the marks on his back, but just try to capture what it must have felt like in that moment that each individual found out that they were no longer enslaved. The base of the statue recognizes 5 African-American Virginians who were instrumental in the fight for emancipation, and then 5 post-Civil War who were instrumental in the fight for freedom and equality. We think we picked a very good group, but we're looking for ways to honor more people.
Sister Fund is a grassroots donor education and grant-making initiative uniting civic-minded African-American women's ideas and actions through philanthropy and collective giving. Sister Fund's mission is to improve the lives of African-American women and girls by transforming local nonprofits who support the development of African-American young girls and women through significant collective financial investments. Members not only leverage their resources to increase the impact of their giving, but also engage in an experience that transforms the community on a powerful journey of giving.
Justice is indivisible. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
We have to take responsibility to ensure that we keep his dream alive, that we keep checking on the pieces of the dream that have not been addressed and that have not been realized. And yes, we can make all of it happen. So for Sister Fund, we believe that our work really reflects King's legacy because King required that the community respond to its needs firsthand. We believe that you should hold the government and other systems responsible to make sure there was equity in those systems. But at the same time, you have a responsibility to build your community. Sister Fund, the women that are involved are making a financial commitment to their communities. They are shoring up African-American programs that support women and girls. And so while we are making sure that other systems recognize the importance of these programs, we're not waiting for them to support them. We're supporting them ourselves. Personally, Dr. King has been a part of my life for a very, very long time. I recalled when Dr. King was killed. I was in the 1st grade. And at that time, I was in a segregated school. I didn't know it. I was at Fair Oaks Elementary, And the teachers found the TV and pulled it in the library, and we all went and watched what was happening. But I recall that I have a responsibility because of Dr. King. I have a responsibility to really take some of the blows and do the best I can. And that's why when the opportunity to chair Sister Fund came my way, I could not refuse it. Because in the back of my mind, I'm always remembering that Dr. King reminded us we have a responsibility.
To introduce our 2022 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Legacy Award recipient is Diane Leopold, Executive Vice President and COO at Dominion Energy.
Thank you. It's an honor to introduce this year's MLK Legacy Award winner, Willie J. Dell, the first Black woman to serve on the Richmond City Council. During her tenure, which lasted through 1982, she promoted Black rights, equal opportunity, and minority voter participation. At the time, those were considered radical ideas. To some people, they still are. She has won far too many awards and served as president, chair, or board member of far too many organizations for me to list now. Willie Dell, this truly remarkable woman, embodies Dr. King's spirit of selfless giving and his dedication to nonviolent, transformational social justice.
And so Jesus gave us a new norm of greatness. If you want to be important, wonderful. If you want to be recognized, wonderful. If you want to be great, wonderful. But recognize that he who is greatest among you shall be your servant. That's a new definition of greatness.
I don't think it was social work that led me into politics. I think it was my mouth. I had an opinion on a lot of different things, and there were persons who could hear me give that opinion, and then I got invited to run for city council. I don't think I ever would have thought on my own to become a politician. And I don't consider myself a politician. I really consider myself a strong social worker who had an opinion, who didn't mind expressing that opinion and was not afraid, and was championing a people's right to express their opinion. I was invited to run for city council by Jim Carpenter, who used to be my pastor. I was a member of All Souls Presbyterian Church, and Jim was a member of Richmond City Council, and Jim was retiring from that position to go to Quito, Ecuador, to become a missionary. And he and Henry Marsh had contacted several guys to run for city council to replace Jim, and couldn't get a fellow to run. And Jim told Henry, I know a member of my church, Willie Dell, and I think she would be excellent. So that's how when they came to my house and asked me about this, you gotta be crazy. Nobody in their right mind would ask somebody like me to become a member of Richmond City Council. But Nathan, my husband, and I, we talked about it, went in the kitchen and talked about it, and I came back and said yes. I think I had the best managed campaign for a pioneer person who had never been involved in politics, based on the involvement of the students at VCU Graduate School of Social Work. They organized it, they planned it. I was just a figurehead out front. That's when the Richmond majority came in. There were 5 blacks who were elected. Now that was a hallelujah experience. I can't remember the exact feeling, but I remember being so happy. I was surprised and happy. And I thought that was the climax of my life. Can you imagine somebody like me from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, who grew up on welfare, who went to college on a scholarship? I'm sorry. end up being on Richmond City Council. Yes, I am so grateful that the people in Richmond had faith in me. And I was elected over and over and over and tried to do my best. I really did. Along with the other members of the majority. And heaven knows we were coming from different places. The person who influenced me to go into politics was Esmeralda Hawkins, my history teacher in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. My history teacher who told us to obey the law but challenge the law. There's nothing wrong with being kind. I know that might not seem like a political weapon, but you can turn folks' head just by being kind. I think that, yes.
Thank you for celebrating this special holiday with us, and congratulations to each of our honorees.
As demonstrated by our phenomenal awardees, we encourage you to remember and honor the work and legacy of Dr. King, not just in words, but in deeds to build the beloved community.
Thanks for joining us.
Freedom, freedom, freedom. Louder, louder, freedom, freedom. What do we want now? Freedom, freedom, freedom.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Oh, turn me around. Turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let no jailhouse turn me around. No, turn me around. No, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no jailhouse turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let segregation turn me around. No, turn me around. No, turn me around. Ain't gonna let segregation turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on no matter how tired, marching up to freedom land. I ain't gonna let race hatred turn me around. Oh no, turn me around. Turn me around. Ain't gonna let race hatred turn me around. I'm gonna keep on, gotta keep pressing, keep on, gotta keep fighting, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. No, turn me around. Turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. So I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land.
I honestly believe that his dream will come true. I believe that. Because I don't think it was his. I think it was given to him through his creator, through his father. I believe that. That's who he was. He couldn't help it.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Thank you for watching the 44th Annual Martin Luther King Jr. Community Leaders Awards, sponsored by Virginia Union University and Dominion Energy.